Oromummaa, Empire Myths, and Eritrea's Deflection, a rebuttal to Isaias Afwerki's Independence Day speech. Congratulations to the people of Eritrea, but let's talk facts, Mr. President. First and foremost, congratulations to the people of Eritrea on 34 years of independence. Your resilience, culture, and identity deserve recognition and respect. But while we celebrate the people, we must also speak clearly and honestly when leaders use moments of pride to deliver misinformed, hypocritical, and politically charged narratives, especially when those narratives directly target other nations fighting for dignity and autonomy. In his Independence Day address, President Isaias Afwerki launched veiled attacks on Empire Ethiopia's internal structure and the ideology of Oromummaa, the socio-political and cultural expression of the Oromo people. Let's be clear, Oromummaa is not domination. It is not a conspiracy. It is simply being Oromo, embracing one's identity, language, culture, economic and political vision for justice in a historically oppressive empire. 1. Oromummaa does not equal ethnic supremacy. It's a right to exist. Reducing the aspirations of over 40 million Oromo people, nearly half of Ethiopia's population, to an ethnic problem, is not just simplistic, it is offensive. For Isaias to compare Oromummaa's legitimate national identity to Eritrea's 3.5 million population struggle is to erase history, context, and proportional reality. Let's not forget, Isaias Afwerki used the very same ethnic federalist constitutional principles he now condemns to justify Eritrea's separation from Empire Ethiopia in the 1990s. So how is it that the same Article 39, the right to self-determination, that granted Eritrea independence is now unacceptable when raised by the Oromo? This double standard is colonial hypocrisy in a new robe. 2. The constitution isn't the problem, centralism is. President Isaias blames ethnic federalism for Ethiopia's instability. But Ethiopia's instability isn't due to the federal structure on paper. It's due to its imperial center refusing to implement federalism in reality. The Ethiopian empire state still operates through a centralized, unitary control model, maintaining the empire's legacy of suppressing the autonomy of its southern nations, including Oromo, Somali, Sidama, Walaita, and others. Federalism exists on paper, but imperialism still governs the ground. 3. One-group dominance. Look in the mirror. Isaias warns of one-group dominance in Ethiopia, subtly referring to Oromo political leadership. Yet he ignores how the Amharic-speaking highland elites dominated Ethiopian empire politics for over a century, militarily colonizing the south and extracting resources, labor and land through slavery, forced assimilation, and narrative erasure. A joke told at Finfin University captures this mindset. The constitution gives every nation the right to self-determination, except Oromo, because everything Oromo is considered public property. If anything, Oromummaa is a reaction to centuries of being told, Oromia belongs to everyone, but Oromo own nothing. 4. GERD is a right, not aggression. Isaias' complaint about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, reveals his fixation with Empire Ethiopia's internal politics rather than his own national potential. Empire Ethiopia contributes 85% of the Nile's water, not just one, but many GERDs are its right. In fact, those dams could even supply Eritrea with electricity, if Isaias would stop antagonizing his neighbors and start cooperating like a responsible regional partner. The irony, a leader who failed to develop his own Red Sea port is lecturing a landlocked nation on how to manage its water. 5. Red Sea access is not a threat, it's a necessity. Isaias condemned Empire Ethiopia's aspirations to access the sea, but this isn't about military expansionism. It's about survival, trade, and fairness. Let's also not forget, Djibouti and Eritrea lie in the earthquake-prone Afar Triangle, with vulnerable infrastructure like the Djibouti Railway and the Sab port. Instead of trying to dominate port diplomacy, Eritrea and Djibouti should support mutually beneficial frameworks, such as access through Kenya's Lamu Corridor, Sudan via Walaga, or Haraj to Somaliland. Stop using the Red Sea as a weapon. It's not a trophy, it's a transit zone. And Empire Ethiopia has options. 6. Fano, myth of Amhara identity, and the imperial hangover. Isaias lectures Oromummaa while ignoring the crisis of the Amharic-speaking zonal areas like Goijam, Gondar, and Wollo, regions long neglected and manipulated by northern elites. Fano militants can't even agree on a unified command because Amhara is a language group, not an ethnic nation by history or blood. It's time to end the myth of eternal Amhara exceptionalism and allow these regions to find their own path, even if that means integrating into a future democratic republic of Oromia where autonomy and dignity are not just slogans. This vision also serves the best interests of the southern nations and the Somali region, offering them genuine inclusion, autonomy, and dignity within a democratic republic of Oromia, where partnership replaces marginalization, and shared governance replaces imperial hierarchy. 7. Eritrea must heal before it lectures others. President Isaias's obsession with Oromummaa seems more like a personal grudge than policy. His 3-decade-long vendetta against Meles Zenawi has cost Eritrea dearly, isolating its people, suffocating its economy, and turning a proud nation into a political bunker. Meanwhile, Eritreans continue to flee their own country in droves. Why? Because they know their real enemy isn't Oromummaa. It's authoritarian stagnation. 8. Final word. Eritreans deserve freedom, and so do all peoples. Eritrea must stop acting like a gatekeeper of Ethiopian identity. The Horn of Africa doesn't need another myth-driven empire or Red Sea landlord. It needs cooperation, respect, and truth. So yes, congratulations to the people of Eritrea. But to President Isaias Afwerki, and to fellow myth-clingers like Iskander Nega, it's time to drop the delusions, let go of the Red Sea obsession, and stop scapegoating Oromo identity for the collapse of a throne that should have fallen a century ago. Let Eritrea laugh, heal, and move on. And let every nation, Oromo included, finally write its own story, in its own voice, on its own terms. And as for those Ethiopian elites still stuck in the imperial time warp, including Iskander Nega and his Balderas party, let's be honest, it's become a political punchline. Once paraded as a civic alternative, Balderas has become the air horn of Amhara imperial nostalgia, shouting about unity while secretly mourning the loss of imperial privilege. Maybe Iskander should just move to Asmara. He'd probably get better internet, fewer protesters, and a dictator who actually appreciates old-school propaganda. Because while Oromo youth are demanding liberation, justice, and federal reform, Balderas is still trying to restore Menelik's ghost in a TikTok world. So if you've made it this far without throwing your coffee at the screen, congratulations, you've just survived a roast session spicier than Red Sea politics and sharper than Isaias's side eyes at Oromummaa. Now, before he adds YouTube commentary to his next speech, do your part, subscribe, share, and spread the truth like Ethiopians spread injera, wide, warm, and with zero room for imperial leftovers. Because the myth won't debunk itself, and someone's uncle is already rehearsing his next empire speech. Let's beat him to it.